Hey guys, it's me, Danson. Um, Today I'm be talking about the Chernobyl meltdown that occurred in Chernobyl, Ukraine, in 1986. So this incident happened in Chernobyl, Ukraine, which is a country located in Europe. This incident occurred on April 26, 1986. This was a nuclear disaster, one of the most harsh ones in history. So a quick overview of what I'm going to be talking about is what the extent of the Chernobyl accident was, how the human health has been affected by the accident, how the environment has been affected by the accident, uh, how contaminated areas have been managed, some social and economic costs that the Soviet Union had faced, and the needs of the people who have been contaminated and affected by this nuclear disaster. Just to start off with the extent of the Chernobyl accident, it occurred on April 26, 1986, and it was the most serious accident in the history of nuclear industry. The explosion that occurred on this date in one of the reactors of the nuclear power plant and the consequent fires that lasted for 10 days led to huge amounts of radioactive materials being released into the environment and a radioactive cloud spreading over much of Europe. 600,000 people have been involved in emergency containment, cleaning, and recovery operations, although only few of them have been exposed to dangerous levels of radiation. More than 5 million people live in areas that are considered to be contaminated with radioactive materials from the Chernobyl accident. So, on to human affections. Humans have been affected very harshly from this accident. They have been exposed to radiation, which everyone knows is very bad for the human body. They have been exposed both directly from the radioactive cloud and the radioactive materials deposited on the ground through consuming contaminated food or breathing contaminated air. 100,000 people living in contaminated areas still receive a higher dose of radiation than the limit recommended for the general public. Uh, from this radiation, people have been found to have leukemia and cancer from lack of health due to the radiation. Along with the affections of humans, the environment has also been affected as well. Some urban areas near the reactor were heavily contaminated and rapidly evacuated. Since the accident, surface contamination has decreased and levels of radiation measured in the air. The contamination of crops, meat, and milk with short-lived radioactive iodine was a major concern in the early months after the accident. Also, as a result of the accident, water bodies and fish became contaminated with radioactive materials. The contamination soon decreased as a result of dilution and decay, but some of the materials remain trapped in the soils around the contaminated rivers and lakes. Now the contaminated areas were managed pretty well. The authorities of the Soviet Union and later of the Commonwealth of the Independent States, or CIS, spent huge resources to deal with the consequences of the accident. Efforts were made to clean up contaminated areas and to reduce the amount of radioactivity in food and drink with varying degrees of success. In the year of the accident, a shelter was built to contain the damaged reactor. The shelter has some imperfections because it was built quickly and under very difficult conditions. There have been social and economic costs from this nuclear accident. It costed the Soviet Union hundreds of billions of dollars. Today, social benefits are paid to about 7 million people who are considered to have been affected in some way by the Chernobyl accident. "330,000 people were resettled outside the most severely contaminated areas. This relocation reduced their exposure to radiation but was deeply traumatic experience for many. After the accident, the Soviet Union government set up a massive program of investment and compensated payments. Over time, the number of people claiming Chernobyl-related benefits soared. Because the present benefit system is unsustainable, it is necessary to concentrate resources on those whose health was actually suffered from the catastrophe. The people who have been affected need a lot because of their exposure to radiation. They're uncertain about their health and they need to know much more about their health so that they know what to do in emergencies. The current extent of benefit payments is unsustainable and ineffective. It is therefore necessary to divert payments from those who are only mildly affected by the accident towards those truly in need. Substantial material help is needed by the 100,000 to 200,000 people who are caught in a downward spiral of isolation, poor health, and poverty as a result of the accident. The people are also worried about low incomes and unemployment because of this horrible accident. So to sum up what I've talked about the extent of the accident, human affections, environmental affections, contaminated areas, social and economic costs, the needs of the people, and much more to come along with it. Thank you.